Morning, students. So in previous classes we seen the design of piston and cylinder. So and let us come to the next design in IC engine components. That is another component. The main component in IC engine is a connecting rod. So we know that the placement of a connecting rod. So it is used to join piston to the crankshaft. So that is, it can take an push and pull from the piston towards the crank. So the main function of the connecting rod is to take, it can convert a reciprocatory motion of the piston to the rotary motion of a crank. So that is the main function of a connecting rod. So you can observe the construction of a connecting rod. So here it has a long shank. So this is the portion we call it as a shank. So and then big end of the connecting rod is there. So it will be connected to the crankshaft. So by means of bolts and nuts, and this is the big end. So on the other end of the shank we have a small end, so which is connected to piston. So by means of piston pin or gudgeon pin. So here the connecting rod is made, the shank, the cross section of the connecting rod is generally, so you can observe the circular or the rectangular or the high section or the edge section. So for the low speed engines, the general cross section of the connecting rod of shank. So here you can take a cross section. So it may be elliptical in shape. So the elliptical shape cross section is used for low speed engines. So that is a low capacity engines, and high section, that is, or H section, we can also call it as it can be used for high speed engines. So here so you can observe the cross sections. So that is the elliptical for low speed, and it is an I section for the high speed engines. So for the engines, so these connecting rods are manufactured by means of drop forging process. So as well as these are manufactured by means of, that is made up of so mild steel, mild carbon steels, that is low carbon steels, which ranging from the carbon percentage of 0.35 to 0.45%, having the ultimate tensile strength of 650 to 750 megapascal. As well as it can also go for alloy steels, especially for the aerospace applications. So for general industrial applications, they can manufacture with the mild steels. So if it is go for the aerospace and aircraft applications, it can use it for that is made up of alloy steels, having the ultimate tensile strength of 1050 megapascal. So here the length of the connecting rod, that is L. So here can consider the length. So from the axis of crank pin to the piston pin. So this length of the connecting rod is usually depends upon the L by R ratio. So L by R ratio. So where here R is the radius of crank. So if L by R ratio is going to decrease, so the length of the crank is going to decrease. So that due to that, if the length is short, so L by R ratio is reduces. Due to that reduced L by R ratio, so the angularity of the connecting rod is going to decreases. That will increases the side thrust acting on the piston against the cylinder walls, that will increases, resulting in the wear. So if suppose if you provide an greater length, so this L by R ratio is also greater, that will reduces the wear, but eventually it will going to increase the height of the cylinder. So that the reason, so this L by R ratio is kept in between the 4 to 5 times, so that it will be in best possible length to be kept by using this ratio of L by R, that is L by R 4 to 5 times, so that it should not compromise with the length of height of the engine, that is a cylinder, as well as an optimum side thrust acting on the piston against the cylinder. So clear? So here so there are the various forces acting on the connecting rod. So initially you can consider the forces acting on connecting rod. So here the first force acting on connecting rod, it is a force acting due to maximum gas pressure. That is due to the explosion process, the maximum gas load is acting on the pistons. The same load is acting on the connecting rod. That is the max force acting due to the maximum gas pressure, and and inertia force of reciprocating parts. So this is the main forces acting on the connecting rod, that is due to the combustion of the combustion process, that is a force due to the combustion process, and force inertia force due to the reciprocating parts. And the second force acting on connecting rod is a force due to inertia of connecting rod. So this is due to the mass of the connecting rod, there is a chance of inertia forces may be acting. So here these inertia forces is going to act along the axis of connecting rod, that will gives the along with, so that will be summation of the total force. But if whenever these inertia forces of connecting rod is going to act perpendicular to the connecting rod, that will resulting in bending of the connecting rod. So that the stress we call it as whipping stress. And the third force, so that is a third one, that is a force due to friction of piston and piston rings. So here between the piston and the piston rings, there is a chance of friction is there. Friction will be available between the two surfaces. There is, so due to that, some force is acting. So and the fourth one, there is again the force is going to act due to the friction available at or friction of piston pin and crank pin. So clear. So these are the four different forces acting on connecting rod. That is initially the force acting due to the maximum gas pressure, that is due to the explosion process, along with that inertia forces of reciprocating parts like piston rings. So that will comes into the, and then the piston pin, that is all comes into the reciprocating parts. So based upon the mass of that reciprocating parts, there is some inertia forces will be acting. So the total force acting on the connecting rod, that gives the maximum gas pressure plus inertia force. But here this inertia force due to the reciprocating parts will opposes the force of the maximum gas pressure when the piston moves from TDC to the BDC. But that is difference it may give. So but whenever the piston moves from BDC to TDC, the inertia forces may act that is along with the maximum gas pressure, so that you can take the sum of maximum gas pressure plus inertia forces as a total maximum load acting on the connecting rod when the piston moves from BDC to the TDC. And the second one is a force due to the inertia of connecting rod, that is due to the self weight of the connecting rod, it will act an inertia force. Again, this inertia force can resolve into two components. When it is acting along the axis of the connecting rod, it will sum to the maximum gas load, that is a maximum load acting on the connecting rod. But when it is acting perpendicular to the connecting rod, that will use the bending action, so that the stress we call it as a whipping stress. And the third one is a force or the friction due to the between the piston and the piston ring, so that will cause us another force will be acting on the connecting rod. So and the fourth one is again a friction available at the piston pin and the crank pin, that will gives rise to the force, another force acting on the connecting rod. So here in the design of the connecting rod, so here these frictional forces acting at the piston pin, piston rings and the piston pin and the crank pin, which is very much the magnitude is very low compared to the maximum gas pressure, as well as an inertia force of reciprocating parts and then inertia force of connecting rod. So that these forces, this force due to the friction of piston and piston rings and the force due to the that is a piston pin and connecting rod, connecting pin, so that is crank pin, is going to be neglected while designing the connecting rod design. Clear? So this is the four main forces acting on connecting rod. So let us see the design of connecting rod. So what are the various parameters we need to calculate in design of connecting rod? So let us design of connecting rod. So initially you need to calculate so design of connecting rod. So the first thing we need to calculate is the dimensions of cross section of connecting. So here we need to find out the cross section details, either it is in a circular or it is an I section. You need to calculate the dimensions. So here, so the connecting rod is going to always subjected to the push and pull, that is a compression and the tension on the both sides of the connecting rod, that is at the piston pin. So we are having the piston here, so that due to the force acting here from the piston, so it may be acting, so that is due to that the reciprocating motion of the piston, and the force is acting at the small end, and as well as at the crank pin we are having the force is going to act. So the continuous compression and the tension is going to act on the connecting rod, that will subjecting so continuously. So here compared to the tension and compression, the compression forces is very much greater compared to the tension, so that the design of cross section of connecting rod is going to consider considering only the compression, that is a connecting rod under compression load, so that the total dimension, the cross sectional details of the connecting rod is going to calculate by considering it as a strut. So this is a shank portion, that is the effective length of connecting rod from center of the crank pin to the piston pin is taken as an strut, that is like an column fixed at the two ends, that is a fixed here about the axis of x-axis, it may be unhinged ends, so but about the y-axis it may be fixed ends. You can observe, so in this direction, that is a per plane, this is the in plane of action, so in plane of rotation, that is about x-axis, this is the y-axis, that is a top view you can observe here. So here, so there is no movement will be observed at the both ends, that is a small end as well as at the big end. So here this is in fixed ends. So in top view, that is about x-axis, that is about y. So it is a fixed ends, but in the about y-axis, this ends is hinged ends. So by considering this as a strut, so that the cross section details of the connecting rod is going to calculate by using Rankine's equation. Rankine's equation. So this Rankine's equation is given by WB equal to, that is a buckling of connecting rod. So here due to the compression forces, for example, we can take a column or a strut, as I stated that if it is in column, so it is subjecting to the loads acting on the both sides, that is in a compressive load. So there is a chance of buckling. So this may be in bulging off at the center here. So either it is in the same direction. So in this fashion, like in this fashion, the connecting rod is going to bend, so this will forms an buckling action here in this direction. So that is about x-axis, or it may also chances of bending here in the about y-axis. So here this buckling action can be taken place. So here by means of Rankine equation, that buckling load WB is given by sigma c into, that is a permissible compressive stress, sigma c into A is a cross sectional area of that is the area of cross section 1 plus A into capital L by K whole square. So this is the general buckling equation. As I stated that here the buckling can takes place about in the plane of rotation, that is about x-axis, or this may also chances to buckle the connecting rod due to the compression load about y-axis, that is perpendicular to the plane of rotation. So here it is a front view you can observe. So these can be taken, the buckling can be taken place in plane of rotation in this fashion, so by the application of the compression load. But coming to the top view, this is about the perpendicular to the plane of rotation, that is in y-axis, about y-axis. So we need to check, so while designing the connecting rod, we need to give a design, so this buckling can be taken place, it should having the equal strength in both the axes, that is in either in x-axis and y-axis. So let us check with the buckling in x-axis and y-axis. So here about an x-axis you can consider, that is about x-axis, the buckling about x-axis we can take the WB is given by sigma c into A by 1 plus A into, so here so the length, that is a capital L, is given by, that is the effective length of connecting rod. So here in the x-axis, that is in plane of rotation, so the both ends are hinged ends, so that the effective length capital L is taken as small l, and here in the about in the plane of perpendicular to the plane of x rotation, that is in y-axis. So here the effective length capital L is given by L by 2. So half the length. So from these equations, so here I can take capital L equal to small l, and K means radius of gyration. About x-axis you can take. So similarly about the y-axis, you can also need to given the buckling load about y-axis, that is perpendicular to the plane of rotation. The buckling load WB is given by sigma c into capital A into 1 plus small a into. So here effective length is L by 2. So 1 by 2 into kxx whole square. So as I stated that the design of connecting rod is going to have an equal strength in buckling about x-axis and y-axis, so that we can equate these two equations, that is equation 1 about x-axis and equation 2 is about y-axis. So it should have an equal buckling strength in about x-axis and y-axis, so we can equate these two equations. So by equating these two, so all these terms is going to get cancelled. You may get kxx equal to, or kxx whole square equal to 4 kyy whole square. So we know that so that is so moment of inertia Ixx, that is I equal to ak square. So that I can write as Ixx equal to ak, that is about x-axis kxx whole square. So using that, this equation can also be written as Ixx equal to 4 times of Iyy. So here, so this is the statement that clearly giving that the idea of buckling action, so how much strength it should have. So here, so by means of this statement, it is clarified that the connecting rod having the 4 times of greater buckling strength about y-axis, greater, that means about the Ixx. So that this having the greater buckling strength about y-axis compared to the x-axis. So that the design can be done of, that is the dimensions can be calculated based upon the Rankines equation about the x-axis. So here this is the 4 times, if suppose if Ixx is greater than 4 times of Iyy, that is about y-axis, so that the buckling can be observed in x-axis, that is about x-axis. If Ix is less than 4 times of Iyy, the buckling can be observed in y-axis. So here in the design procedure, that is based upon this statement observed, so we can calculate the dimensions of the cross section of connecting rod based upon the x-axis, so that in general in the design process we don't exactly kept the 4 times of Iyy, that is Ixx equal to 4 times of Iyy. You can simply kept 3.5 times of Iyy. So based upon you need to satisfy this relation. You can be considering these statement, you can take in proportions, the relative proportions for the cross section. So we need to check whether our taken proportions for the section is going to withstand this given statement or not, that is it can sufficient to buckle, that is sufficient strength to withstand the buckling or not. Clear? So here the dimensions can be calculated about x-axis. So that is and the y-axis, it have then 4 greater strength than the x-axis. So clear? So that is the statement is Ixx equal to 4 times of Iyy. So we need to satisfy this. So we don't take exactly 4 times. So as I stated, so it may be kept 3 to 3.5 times of Iyy. So let us take a cross section, that is I section here. So having then proportions that is denoted by capital B is the width of cross section, that is here I am taking the cross section XX, so that is width capital B. So and the height H, so that is the height of the cross section. So here the width can be taken 4 times of T and the height is taken as 5 times of T, and T means that is the thickness of flange or web. So that is a small t. So we denote the thickness of flange or web by means of small t. Clear? So here I am mentioning the dimensions. So here width of is taken as 4 times of thickness. So on the depth, that is denoted by H. So H is taken 5 times of thickness, and the T is so that is thickness of flange or web. So here it is a T as well as here is it also. So that is only the thickness. Clear? So we need to calculate, check whether our taken proportions given satisfactory with this statement or not. So for that you need to calculate so the Ixx and Iyy equations for that. So B is taken 4 times of thickness and height h is 5 times of thickness and t is t. So let us calculate Ixx. The value of Ixx is given by, so that is so 1 by 12, so BD cube by 12. So here the B means that is 4t and h means 5t cube. So here BD cube, which means 4t into 5t cube. So that gives the total rectangular area. So from that we can subtract the remaining portion of area from this portion and this portion we need to subtract. That is a t is subtracted from 4t. So which is given so 3t into height is also, so t and t is subtracted, we may get 3t cube. So this is the Ixx. So the value of Ixx is given by 419 by 12, sorry, t power 4. So similarly you can also calculate Iyy. So 1 by 12 into, so here from this side you can take so 2t into, so here 2 times of, here we have 2 flanges. So that is both the thickness of flanges is given by t, denoted by t. So 2t into, so 4t cube. So here I can add this thickness, so that is 3t into t cube. So this is the t and here okay, it is 3t. The thickness is only t. So and this value is given by 131 by 12 t power 4. So you can check the ratio of Ixx by Iyy. So that is 419 by 12 into 12 by 131. It may given as 3.2. So which gives the satisfactory statement, that is whatever mentioned here, that is between, lies between 3 to 3.5 times. So the whatever the proportions we are mentioned for the, for our cross section is satisfactory. That is the ratio of Ixx and Iyy is given as 3.2. So clear. So after finding out the dimensions, so after that we need to, so we have checked the whether our taken proportions are satisfactory or not. It is satisfactory. Now we are going to calculate the dimensions, that is the thickness of web and flange, small t, and the height 5t and 3 is 4 times of t. Clear. So let us calculate the dimensions of cross section. So let t is the thickness of flange or web that connects the two top flanges. So and capital H is the height of cross section. It is given by 5 times of t, and B is width of cross section is 4 times of t. So here these cross section dimensions going to calculate using the Rankine's equation. So that the buckling load about x-axis, as I stated in previous. So that is sigma b equal to, sorry, WB buckling load sigma c into A by 1 plus small a into, so here L into Kxx whole square. So here where WB is the buckling load, so the buckling load is going to calculate WB equal to maximum gas load into factor of safety. So here the maximum gas load, we know that the maximum gas load is going to calculate so by using pi by 4 d square into p. So capital D is the diameter of cylinder or piston, and P is the maximum gas pressure acting. So here the factor of safety is taken 5 to 6, so that I can calculate the buckling load, the total buckling load acting on the connecting rod, that is WB is given, and the sigma c is the permissible compressive stress of connecting rod material, and A is the cross sectional area. So we can calculate all the cross section of area in terms of T. So that is the area of cross section is given by 11 T square. So we can calculate it. So it will be given 11 T square. So that is the area in terms of T, you can substitute here. So after that a small a is a constant. So it is a constant value. Small a is given by 1 by 9000 for mild steel, and it is 1 by 7500 for cast, wrought iron, and it is 1 by 1600 for cast iron. So see, this is a constant value for small a. So and L is the effective length of connecting rod, small l, and it is taken equal to the distance between the two centers. Then the kxx is a radius of gyration that you can calculate from Ixx equal to a into kxx whole square. So area in terms of t, we know that is 11 t square, and Ixx is 419 by 12 t power 4. So from that you can calculate the kxx. So the value of kxx you may get 1 point. So you can substitute and calculate it. It may get 1.78 times of t you may get. So area is 11 t square and kxx is 1.78 t. So that kxx you can substitute in terms of t, that is a small t, that is thickness of web or flame, and L, so that is the effective length of connecting rod that can given in data, and A is a constant value based upon the type of material you can take, and sigma c is the permissible compressive stress for connecting rod material, and WB you can calculate using this equation, maximum gas load into factor of safety. So by equating these two terms you can calculate the thickness of web or flange, that is a small t. After finding out small t, so you can calculate the thickness of, that is a height of cross section at the center, that is here you consider. So that is height 5 times of t, and the width also you can take calculate, that is a 4 times of t. So after finding out the height, width and thickness, so here you can observe in the diagram, so the width of the cross section, this is the B. So width is uniform throughout the length of the connecting rod, but the height of the cross section is going to vary from big end to the small end. So here, so the height of the connecting rod, so need to be calculated at the both the sides, that is at near the big end as well as the near the small end. So here I can consider this is as a H1, that is a reduced length at the piston pin, and here I consider it as an H2, which is an height near the big end. So height of cross section near piston pin, that is small end, that is denoted by H1. So this can be calculated using the proportion. So this based upon the height of cross section 0.75 H2, 0.9 H. So otherwise I can write here. So H1, that is the height near the small end, is taken 0.75 H2, 0.9 times of H. So similarly the height of cross section near crank pin, that is a big end, so that is denoted by H2. So and it is calculated by H2 equal to 1.1 times of H2, 1.25 times of H. So this is the first step in the design. So you need to calculate the thickness based upon the Rankine's equation, using the Rankine's equation, considering the compression forces acting on both sides of the connecting rod. So that the buckling effect you are going to consider about the x-axis. So using the Rankine's equation, that is WB equal to, so sigma c into A, so by 1 plus A into L by kxx whole square. So from that you can calculate the thickness of flange or web. After that, finding out the height of the cross section 5 times of t, and width of the cross section 4 times of t. After that you can also need to calculate the height near the small end, that is a piston pin, so 0.75 H2, 0.9 H, and height near the big end 1.1 H2, 1.25 times of H. So that is the first step in the design, the dimensions of cross section of connecting rod. So after that I can calculate the dimensions of small end as well as the big end pins, that is a piston pin dimension, and dimensions of crank pin. Clear? So here the diameter of the piston pin is denoted by dp, and diameter of crank pin is denoted by dc, and the length of the crank pin is denoted by lc, and length of the crank pin is denoted by lb. So this is the dimensions we need to calculate in the next step, that is the dimensions of crank pin. And next step in design, so that is second point, second step. So we need to calculate the dimensions of piston pin and crank pin. So here at the small end, the piston pin is to be provided to connect the that is a bush is provided, that is a phosphor bronze bush, that is a bearing pressure I need to take for the phosphor bronze bush. And here at the big end, so the big end is to be separated by means of a cap. So this is the portion of cap, and the cap as well as the connecting rod is connected by means of bolts and nuts, and inside the bushes, the braces are placed, that is called bushes at the crank pin. So here the bearing pressures at the crank pin is going to take based upon that is considered based upon the type of lubrication as well as the type of bush material as well as the viscosity of the oil that basis. So the pressure, that is the bearing pressure acting on the crank pin, is going to vary. So here for the dimensions of piston pin and crank pin, so so DC is the diameter of crank pin and LC is the length of crank pin, and similarly DP is the diameter of piston pin and LC is the length of crank pin. So here the dimensions of piston pin as well as the crank pin are determined by taking that is against the maximum load acting on the connecting rod. So here we know that while discussing the forces acting on the connecting rod, we see the maximum forces acting on the connecting rod is a maximum gas load, that is a force due to the maximum gas pressure, so along with the inertia forces. But here for calculating the dimensions of crank pin and the piston pin, we are going to neglect the inertia forces of reciprocating parts. So we can consider only the force due to the gas pressure. So we know that the maximum gas pressure, that is a maximum gas load due to maximum gas pressure is given by pi by 4 d square into P. So we are going to neglect the force due to the inertia forces of reciprocating parts. We can simply considering only the maximum gas load due to the maximum gas pressure in order to calculate the dimensions of crank pin and piston pin. So here the crank pin and piston pin having the bearing load, so they are supposed to act. So here the bearing load acting at acting on crank pin. So that is given by, so we know that the bearing load or the load acting on the crank pin, the total load acting at the crank pin is given by, so here I can consider PV is the bearing pressure and C denotes at crank pin. So that is a bearing pressure into, so area should be L into D, so LC into DC. So by equating the terms, so that is the equation 1 here, bearing maximum gas load, and this is the equation 2. So by equating these two terms, so we know that the calculate maximum gas load, and the PBC is the bearing pressure we can take for crank pin. So that based upon the, so PBC, so we can take for bearing pressure, that is ranging from 7 Newton per mm square to 12.5 Newton per mm square. So that is for bearing pressure range for crank pin, and here PBC is taken in between the range, and LC is the length of crank pin. You can take LC in terms of diameter, so that is 1.25 DC to 1.5 times of DC. So that all the equation is in terms of diameter of crank pin. So that by equating equations 1 and 2, you can calculate the diameter of crank pin and length of crank pin. So similarly, bearing load acting on piston pin, so that is given by PBP, I can write, so bearing pressure at piston pin into DP into LP. Here again the bearing pressure, so is ranging from PBP is ranging from 10.5 Newton per mm square to 15 Newton per mm square. So similarly, length of pin is ranging from 1.5 dp to 2 times of dp. So using these proportions, so this bearing load acting on piston pin is going to calculate in terms of diameter of piston pin. So by equating equations 1 and 2 as well as 1 and 3, so we can calculate so the dimensions of piston pin as well as a crank pin, that is the length and diameter for crank pin and piston pin. So here this is the one of the statement you need to remember is the piston pin dimensions and crank pin dimensions is going to calculate by again as the maximum load acting on the connecting rod. So that is but here we are assuming that is neglecting inertia forces, so that maximum gas load that should be equal to the maximum force acting on the connecting rod. So this is the very much important statement you need to mention here. So the dimensions of piston pin and crank pin is going to calculate against the maximum force acting on the connecting rod. The maximum force acting on the connecting rod is equal to the maximum gas load plus force due to the inertia force of reciprocating parts, but here we are neglecting the inertia forces of reciprocating parts, so that the maximum load is taken equal to the maximum gas load, that should be equal to the pi by 4 d square into p, and that should be equated to the loads acting on the corresponding pins, that is either crank pin and piston pin, so that you can calculate the dimensions of crank pin and piston pin, that is DC and LC and DP. Step in the design, so that is a third step. Dimensions of bolts or size of bolts required. Size of bolts required to assemble the cap as well as the body. So here the diameter of the bolts is denoted by DCB, that is a core diameter, and the nominal diameter is denoted by DB. So I can consider a DCB for core diameter, and so nominal diameter is DB. So you need to calculate the core diameter by, after that from that you can calculate the nominal diameter. So here the size of bolts, so here the bolts are subjecting to the tensile forces. So by means of compression and the tension acting on the connecting rod, the force acting on the bolts as well as that is acting on the bolts is also a tensile forces. So the dimensions are determined by equating these tensile forces of bolts, that is tensile force acting on bolts, is equated to the inertia forces of reciprocating parts at the top dead center, that is a piston at the top dead center, that is where you can obtain the maximum inertia forces due to reciprocating parts. So we know that the maximum, that is so inertia force, we know that Fi is given by Mr, so that is mass of reciprocating parts, omega square r into cos theta plus cos 2 theta by L by r. So this is the equation given for the inertia forces acting on due to the reciprocating parts. So but here we need to consider the inertia force when the piston at the top dead center, so that where we can obtain the maximum inertia force. So that is the piston at top dead center, the crank angle is going to be 0, so that the maximum inertia force due to reciprocating parts, so Fi is given by, so mass of reciprocating parts, omega square, so omega is the angular speed of engine in radians per second, and r is the crank radius, so into 1 plus r by L we may get. So this is the maximum inertia force due to the reciprocating parts you can obtain when the piston at the top dead center. So and these maximum inertia force is going to equate to the tensile forces of bolts acting on the bolts. So that is the tensile strength of bolts is written as so pi by 4 d square or DCB square, that is a cross sectional area of bolts, and it is multiplied by strength sigma TB, and this is the tensile strength of single bolt, but here the cap and the body is going to be assembled by means of a 2 number of bolts. So here you can take an NB, so where usually the number of bolts is taken as 2. So by equating these two terms, so here in the bolts, tensile strength of bolts, so here the bolts are subjecting to the repeated stresses, not the alternating stresses. They are frequently subjected to the repeated stresses, though, so that the factor of safety is going to consider for tensile strength of bolts is taken as 5. So by equating these two terms, that is the maximum inertia force of due to reciprocating parts when the piston at the top dead center, this is taken as equation 1, and here it is an equation number 2. So by equating these two terms, from this I can calculate the core diameter of bolts DCB. So after that I can also find out the nominal diameter of bolts from core diameter DCB by 0.84. So this is the size of bolts we need to calculate to join the cap, assemble the cap and the body. So here we need to write the statement that so the bolts are subjected to the tensile strength, and that should be equated to the maximum inertia forces acting on due to the reciprocating parts and the piston at top dead center. Clear? By equating these two equations, so we can calculate the dimensions of the bolts, that is the core diameter as well as the nominal diameter of bolts. And after finding out the dimensions of bolt and the final step in the design, we need to calculate the thickness of cap. So here it is the cap, separate cap is to be placed here, used here to assemble the parts. So here the thickness of cap is denoted by TC. So TC is denoted by thickness of cap, that is to be calculated after finding out the size of bolt. And lastly, in the design procedure, we need to find out thickness of cap. So here the thickness of cap is denoted by TC. So here the dimensions of cap TC is determined by considering it as a simple supported beam. So here if you observe, the cap is in this portion, in this shape. So here we are assuming, so this cap is a simply supported beam supported at the center of bolts. So and the load acting on the cap is a magnitude of the inertia forces, that is Fi is going to act upon the cap. So that is the inertia force we are seen in earlier step. So that is Fi is acting on the cap, and this magnitude we are assuming, further assuming that, so the magnitude is not completely simply not completely concentrated, but it is in between the UDL and concentrated load. So here Fi is in between UDL and point load, that is it is not completely center concentrated load and not completely UDL load. So and this cap is going to support as at the center of the bolts, that is simply supported beam we are considering and loaded with the inertia forces, and magnitude is in between the UDL and central point, that is concentrated load. So that the maximum bending moment, maximum bending of cap or maximum bending moment acting on cap is calculated by, so M equal to, so that is Fi into, so here the distance between the center of the bolts, L dash, so that is from here to here I can denote with L dash, so F into L dash by 8. So Fi you already calculated in earlier steps, so but the L dash is the distance from the center of bolts, that is taken as L dash equal to, so diameter of crank pin, so that is DC, so plus 2 into thickness of liner, that is taken 3 mm, plus 2 into clearance, clearance on both sides, that gives the distance between the center of bolts. So using that I can calculate the maximum bending moment acting on cap, so F into L dash by 8. And similarly, so the section modulus, so this is as a rectangular plate, consider the section modulus, so that is Z, so is given by, so BC into TC square by 6. So where BC is the width of the cap, that is here it is a width, and that should be equated to the LC. So here the width of the cap is going to be equal to the width of length of crank pin. So BC is the width of cap, so that is equal to the length of crank pin, and TC is you need to calculate. So using the bending stress, that is allowable bending stress here, that is sigma B is given by M by Z. So from this equation you can calculate the thickness of cap. So only thing we need to remember here, that is the only assumption, the two assumptions we consider here. So that is the first assumption is the cap is assumed as a simply supported beam supported at the center of the bolts, and the second one is this loaded by means of inertia, that is maximum inertia forces when the piston at top dead center, and this load magnitude is not completely a center concentrated load or not UDL load, we are taking the magnitude in between these two values. So from using that we can calculate the maximum bending moment Fi L dash by 8, and the section modulus, it is a rectangular plate, BC into TC square by 6. So using the permissible bending stress of cap material, sigma B is given by M by Z. From that we can calculate the dimensions of cap, that is a TC. Clear? So after finding out the dimensions, finally after getting all the dimensions of the connecting rod, we can also check the design of connecting rod with the maximum induced bending stress with the, that is what due to the maximum inertia forces, that is stress due to the inertia of mass of the connecting rod, that we call it as an whipping stress. So that you need to check with the induced stresses in the connecting rod. Clear? Thank you.